This is Nigeria. And most people hear Nigeria and think of two things: oil and Nollywood. Then they move on. Big mistake. Because this is a country with the rarest gorilla left on Earth. A boat older than the pyramids, and a river so confused it runs away from the ocean before turning back. Nigeria is older, stranger, and wilder than the world ever gives it credit for. Here are 30 facts. Starting from fact 30, let's start with something wild. Nigeria has around 525 living languages. That makes it the most linguistically diverse nation in all of Africa and the third most diverse on the entire planet. Only Papua New Guinea and Indonesia beat it. You could drive a few hours in Nigeria and, honestly, the people around you are speaking a completely different language than where you started. Fact 29. Nigeria sits along something called the Cameroon Volcanic Line. It's a 1,600-kilometer chain of volcanoes stretching from islands in the Gulf of Guinea all the way toward Lake Chad. And here's the part that really bugs scientists. Normally, volcanic chains get older as you move along them. This one doesn't. The ages are all over the place, it just doesn't fit the rules. To this day, nobody can fully explain how it formed. The planet's keeping that one a secret. Fact 28. Every winter, millions of water birds escape Europe and Asia by flying south. To survive, they must cross the brutal Sahara Desert. In far northern Nigeria, the Hadejia and Guru wetlands become their lifeline, a 58,100-hectare oasis and Nigeria's first Ramsar-listed wetland where millions of migratory birds stop to rest and feed. It's a patch of marsh on the edge of the Sahel that keeps one of the greatest bird migrations on Earth alive. Fact 27. Nigeria's border with Chad is only 85 kilometers long, but it's geologically bizarre. It was originally drawn straight through the open waters of Lake Chad, but since the 1960s, the lake has shrunk by up to 90%. Today, most of that border runs across dry land, exposed islands, and swamp. It's a living example of climate change, literally redrawing the line between two countries. Fact 26. Let's talk about a river that makes, honestly, no sense at all. The Niger River starts only about 240 kilometers from the Atlantic Ocean. That's basically next door, right? But instead of running straight to the sea, it does the complete opposite. It actually flows away from the ocean, heading right into the Sahara, then bends sharply and travels thousands of kilometers before finally curving back down to reach the coast in Nigeria. For centuries, European geographers were completely baffled by it. I mean, a river that runs away from the sea before changing its mind? That's just wild. Fact 25. And that same river gave the country its name. At a town called Loja, the Niger meets the Benue River in this huge confluence. A British journalist named Flora Shaw actually coined the word Nigeria back in 1897, literally from Niger area. But here's the twist. At the exact point where they meet, the Benue is actually wider than the Niger, and it's carrying more water too. So technically, the river that named the country isn't even the bigger one at the handshake. Pretty ironic, huh? Fact 24. The Niger Delta is the largest river delta in Africa and honestly, one of the biggest wetland systems on the entire planet. It covers around 70,000 square kilometers, which is about 7.5% of Nigeria's entire land mass just in one delta. And its mangrove forests, they're the third largest in the world and the largest in all of Africa. It's this massive maze of water, sediment, and green that just goes on forever. Fact 23. Now here's the highest point in the country, Chapel Wadi, standing at 2,419 meters. The locals call it the Mountain of Death, and you'd probably assume that's because the climb is brutal, right? Nope. The climb itself is actually manageable. The name comes from an impassable gully on its southern face, a death trap that has nothing to do with reaching the top. Fact 22. The plateau that holds that mountain, the Mambila Plateau, is the highest in Nigeria at an average of 1,600 meters. It's the one place in the country where tea is grown at scale, thriving in a microclimate where temperatures rarely climb above 25 degrees Celsius. The landscape is dotted with eucalyptus forests planted during German colonial-era forestry before 1915. But the tea industry itself only took off in the 1970s, using high-altitude clones imported from Kenya. With its rolling green hills, heavy mists, and crisp air, parts of this plateau honestly feel more like the English countryside than equatorial Africa. Fact 21. Even though Nigeria sits entirely in the tropics, it's packed with at least 4 completely different climate zones from south to north. Along the coast, you get humid equatorial rainforest, then tropical monsoon inland, then savanna in the middle belt, and finally the hot dry Sahel in the far north. That means you can travel from dense rainforest to near desert conditions without ever leaving the country. Fact 20. Ondo and Un states sit on one of the largest deposits of bitumen or natural tar sands in the entire world, a completely different energy resource from Nigeria's famous crude oil. This southwestern belt stretches across Andondo, Un, Lagos, and Adato states, holding massive bitumen reserves estimated at about 42.74 billion metric tons, over 42 billion barrels of oil equivalent, a hidden energy giant buried beneath the surface. Fact 19. Now this one is beautiful. Ike Lake in U State is one of only 2 naturally suspended lakes in the world. It sits about 300 meters up on a mountain in a natural rock basin, and even with Nigeria's heavy rainfall, it never overflows and it never dries up. It stays perfectly balanced all year round. Fact 18. Nigeria's population is spread out in the most lopsided way you can imagine. The state of Anambra in the southeast packs in over 1,500 people per square kilometer, one of the highest rural densities anywhere on Earth. Meanwhile, Yobe in the northeast, which is roughly the same size, has fewer than 50 people per square kilometer. That gap is driven by soil, history, and an old belt of disease that kept people away. Fact 17. On the edge of the capital there's a giant rock called Zuma Rock. It rises about 725 meters straight up out of the flat savanna. It's a single chunk of igneous rock, slowly exposed over millions of years as the softer ground around it eroded away. It even has a natural face carved into it by water runoff. People call it the gateway to Abuja, and honestly it's so iconic it's printed right on the 100 Naira banknote. Fact 16. Now, when you look at Nigeria's untapped energy potential, the Niger Delta tells a different story. It's not just oil. Its natural gas is actually one of the biggest stories on Earth. The region flares off massive volumes of gas, and using NASA's Visible Infrared Imaging Radiometer Suite satellite technology, these flares are tracked from orbit. That means parts of the Niger Delta literally glow in satellite images, visible from space at night. Fact 15. Now, here's nature turning the intensity all the way up. Long-term satellite data from NASA's Optical Transient Detector and Lightning Imaging Sensor shows Nigeria sitting among the world's top lightning hotspots, right alongside the Congo Basin. The country gets hit by an estimated 9 to 25 million lightning strokes every single year. It's like the sky is constantly charging and discharging over the land. Fact 14. Essir in Kwara holds something completely mysterious. Over 1,000 carved soapstone figures. It's the largest collection of stone images in Africa, with somewhere between 100 and 1,500 carved statues found in one place. And here's the real mystery. Nobody knows who carved them or honestly, why they exist at all. Fact 13. Now meet the rarest great ape on the planet. The cross-river gorilla lives only in the forested hills along the Nigeria-Cameroon border. These gorillas are officially classified by the International Union for Conservation of Nature as critically endangered, making them the most at-risk great ape on Earth. The total surviving population is roughly 250 to 300 individuals. That's it. Fact 12. And it's not just the gorilla. Nigeria is also home to the rarest chimpanzee subspecies on Earth, the Nigeria-Cameroon chimpanzee. Only about 6,000 to 9,000 remain, scattered across a broken-up range on both sides of the border. Line them up against every chimp alive today, and they're under 5% of the total. Two of the rarest apes on the planet, both clinging on in the same corner of Nigeria. Fact 11. Now let's go to Gashaka-Gumi National Park because it's genuinely one of a kind. It's Nigeria's largest national park, spanning roughly 6,731 kilometers across Taraba and Adamawa states. It's one of the only protected areas on Earth identified as a forest savanna ecotone linking Central and West Africa. Basically, it's a living bridge that lets species move and evolve between two huge ecosystems. Its mountains also feed the Benue River, Nigeria's second largest. So it's one of the most biodiverse parks on the continent and one of its most important water sources at the same time. Down in Yankari Game Reserve, right in the middle of the savannah, there are actually 4 naturally warm springs, all heated by geothermal activity deep underground. The biggest one, called Wiki Spring, holds a steady temperature of 31.1 degrees Celsius. Day or night, summer or winter, it really doesn't matter. And get this, it pumps out around 21 million liters of crystal clear water into the river every single day. Imagine that, warm, clear water just bubbling up endlessly in the middle of the bush. Fact 9. Nigeria has caves that shouldn't really exist the way they do. The Abanik Caves in Anambra State are a network of 10 huge chambers carved not into limestone like almost every major cave system on Earth, but into ancient sandstone. That's genuinely rare. An underground river runs through the lower level and pours straight out of the rock. Snorts. People have used these caves for centuries, and the only way in is down a staircase of 317 steps. Fact 8. Here is one of the most sacred places in the entire country. The Osun Osogbo Sacred Grove in Osun State is one of only 2 UNESCO World Heritage Sites in all of Nigeria, and it's the very last surviving sacred grove in all of Yoruba land. It's a kind of forest that once stood at the edge of every single Yoruba town. Now this is the kind of fact I love. Back in 1987, a Fanny herdsman was digging a well in Yobe State when he hit something hard about 4.5 meters underground. It turned out to be a canoe. The Dufuna canoe, an 8.4-meter boat carved from a single piece of wood dated to between 8,000 and 8,500 years old. That makes it the oldest known boat in Africa and the second oldest in the entire world, beaten only by the PES canoe in the Netherlands, which is around 10,000 years old. These boats are older than some entire religions. Fact 6. In the town of Igbura in Oyo State, the twin birth rate is around 45 to 50 sets of twins for every 1,000 births. The global average is about 12. That's roughly 4 times higher than the rest of the planet. Scientists have looked at genetics, marriage patterns, even a specific yam compound in the local diet, and they still can't fully explain it. Nearly every household in town has at least 1 set of twins. And they even hold an annual World Twins Festival, an entire town that just keeps having twins, and nobody knows exactly why. Fact 5. Every year between late February and March, more than 50,000 fishermen from Nigeria and neighboring countries gather on the Matan Fada River in Argu. Then, at the sound of a single gunshot, they all leap into the water at the exact same moment, racing to catch the biggest fish. One winning catch back in 2005 weighed 75 kilograms. That's heavier than a fully grown adult. The festival started in 1934 as a peace treaty between 2 enemy kingdoms, and today it sits on UNESCO's heritage list. Fact 4. Every December, the city of Calabar throws what's rightfully called Africa's biggest street party. The Calabar Carnival is a month-long celebration along a grueling 12-kilometer parade route, pulling, anywhere from 780,000 to over 1 million live spectators. It was launched in 2004 by former Governor Donald Duke to turn Cross River State into an international tourism hub. Over 2 decades later, it's grown into a global media phenomenon watched by an estimated billion-plus television viewers, drawing massive performance teams from countries like Brazil and Trinidad and Tobago. One Nigerian state built one of the world's premier carnival ecosystems from absolute scratch. Fact 3. For centuries, European royalty, bookbinders, and luxury craftsmen prized Morocco leather for its suppleness, rich dyes, and fine grain. But here's what most buyers never knew. Much of the finest Morocco leather never came from Morocco at all. It was the skin of the Sokoto red goat, raised and tanned by Hosea craftsmen in northern Nigeria, then carried across the Sahara by Moroccan traders who handed it their name. The leather that bound Europe's grandest books was in large part Nigerian. Fact 2. The entire southern coastline of Nigeria, spanning over 850 kilometers along the Bight of Benin and the Bight of Bafra, is a restless living boundary. It's caught in a violent multi-layered geological tug-of-war. The land is naturally sinking, the rivers are dumping huge amounts of sediment, and the rising Atlantic is aggressively eating away at the shore, an entire coastline that never sits still. And finally, fact 1. Now here's something genuinely unbelievable. In traditional European and Asian histories, humanity progressed in a strict linear order. Stone Age, Copper Age, Bronze Age, then Iron Age. That sequence happened for a reason. Melting copper and tin to make bronze only needs a furnace around 950 to 1083 degrees. Iron demands far hotter temperatures, 1150 to 1200 degrees, and completely different chemical techniques, making it much harder to master. But the Nok people flipped the entire script. Excavations at Nok sites like Taruga and Simundukia proved they leaped straight from the Stone Age into the Iron Age around 500 to 400 BCE, over 2,400 years ago, with roots stretching even earlier. No Bronze Age in between. They skipped it entirely. And that's Nigeria in 30 facts. A country with the rarest apes alive, the oldest boat in Africa, a town full of twins, and a river that couldn't decide which way to flow. But here's the thing. A place with 525 languages has way more than 30 stories. So, if you're Nigerian or you've been there, tell me what I missed. What's the one thing about your country nobody outside ever talks about? Drop it in the comments. I'll catch you in the next one. Until then, take care of yourself and